Have you ever thought about what it would be like to stay young forever? For the first minute, maybe we'd all agree that it sounds like a dream, but the downside of being forever young is just as terrifying. That idea is the premise of the movie we're going to talk about in this video. Overall, I'd say this film went beyond my expectations. Hey everyone! Today we're diving into a movie called The Age of Adeline. This film tells the story of a beautiful woman named Adeline Bowman. Her calm and wise demeanor gives her a uniquely powerful charm. She was also known by the names Jenny or Jennifer over the years, since she kept changing her identity from time to time. Why? Because Adeline was actually born in 1908. 20 years later, she married a handsome engineer and gave birth to a daughter named Fleming. But their time together was short-lived. Her husband died in an accident while working on the Golden Gate Bridge. One night, another tragedy struck Adeline. On a snowy road, she lost control of her car, crashed into an old bridge, and plunged into an icy river. Her body temperature dropped 30 degrees instantly, and her heart stopped. 2 minutes later, a bolt of lightning carrying 500 million volts struck the car. The surge jump-started her heart. The heat from the strike pulled her out of hypoxia, and the shock triggered a change in her DNA, causing her to become immune to aging. In simple terms, at the age of 29, Adeline stopped growing older. Adeline did extensive research on her condition. Sadly, no scientific explanation could explain what had happened to her. She had no choice but to accept it. In public, Adeline always attributed her ageless appearance to healthy habits, food, exercise, and skincare, just so people wouldn't get suspicious. But a week later, she ran into trouble. A police officer questioned her identity, thinking her appearance didn't match her ID. Wanting to avoid legal issues, Adeline decided to run. But the FBI caught wind of her escape and detained her for investigation. She feared they might do something horrible to her. Fortunately, she escaped when the agents let their guard down. The next morning, Adeline took a flight to Europe, leaving her daughter Fleming, who was still in high school at the time, behind. It was a heartbreaking choice, but it was the only way to keep both of them safe. From that day on, Adeline kept moving from place to place. To avoid suspicion, she changed her name, address, and appearance every 10 years. This is Adeline in 2014. She lived in an apartment with her beloved dog. That night, an old friend invited her to a party. She looked exactly the same as ever, and no one there knew that it was actually Adeline's 106th birthday. While at the party, a photo on the wall caught her eye. It was a picture of her and her friends taken decades ago in that very same place. Of course, she looked different back then. Inside, Adeline still turned heads. Guys couldn't stop checking her out. But unfortunately, their pickup lines were painfully dull to her. She even made one of them feel insecure just by being so sharp. Well, 106 years of living gave her an edge. But in the middle of all that, one charismatic guy actually caught Adeline's attention. They locked eyes for a few seconds, but then a woman came up and hugged him. Not gonna lie, Adeline looked a little disappointed. Later, as she was leaving, the man followed her out. His name was Ellis Jones. He had a confident presence, and his approach was refreshingly genuine. It even made Adeline smile. At that moment, Adeline was going by the name Jenny, short for Jennifer, part of her newest identity. Ellis explained that the woman from earlier wasn't his girlfriend, but Adeline didn't seem to care. She walked off without giving him her number, address, or any way for him to find her again. The next day, after quite a while, Adeline reunited with her daughter Fleming, who was now an elderly woman. It might have looked strange visually, but Fleming deeply respected Adeline as her mother. That day, at the library where Adeline worked, someone donated a large number of books. Turned out it was Ellis. Yep, clearly his way of getting close to her. But Adeline wasn't exactly thrilled. Even when Ellis offered to take her somewhere she'd never been before, she still wasn't interested. So Ellis jokingly threatened to pull his donation if she didn't say yes. For the sake of the library, Adeline finally agreed to go out with him. Turns out, Ellis did manage to show her something new. He took her to a gold mine tunnel hidden right under downtown San Francisco, a place even Adeline had never seen before. The uniqueness of the place helped Adeline open up a little more. But at the end of the date, she warned Ellis that she'd be leaving the city soon. Surprisingly, Ellis didn't act possessive or pushy. He just told her a joke and said, "If you laugh, you have to agree to see me one more time." That was enough for Adeline to say yes. The next evening, they met again, this time at Ellis's place. The atmosphere was super romantic. Ellis had cooked dinner himself and poured them each a glass of wine. He opened up about a lot of things, including his father, who was an astronomer and studied the stars. Even someone as smart as Ellis seemed ordinary compared to Adeline. Ellis mentioned the first time he noticed Adeline was when he read a beginner's French book she had donated. He was fascinated, but Adeline downplayed it, saying it was just a basic textbook. After dinner, the night ended sweetly. The next morning, Adeline rushed off, saying she had to get to work, but she still found time to help Ellis, who was struggling with a Portuguese-speaking client, by flawlessly translating for him. Afterwards, she returned his phone and left before he could ask anything else. Naturally, he was left even more intrigued. Back home, Adeline found her beloved dog seriously ill. The vet said the dog had kidney failure, meaning it couldn't flush toxins anymore. Losing her dog hit her hard. Later, while walking through her apartment complex, Ellis showed up with flowers. But instead of cheering her up, it annoyed her. He was starting to feel like a stalker. At home, Fleming brought up Adeline's love life. She wanted her mom to live like a normal person, to have a partner and stop running. After all, anyone who once chased her was long gone. This finally pushed Adeline to talk about Ellis. Hearing that, Fleming got angry at her mom for being so cold. For her daughter's sake, Adeline apologized and decided to give Ellis another chance. The next night, Adeline showed up to say sorry. She was a little clingy, maybe revealing her true self. She used the same tactic Ellis once did, promising to take him somewhere he'd never been before. Ellis agreed, and the place they went to was an old museum. At first, it seemed nothing special, but when the lights came on, the atmosphere changed. Their bond grew deeper and more honest. Coincidentally, that week was Ellis's parents' 40th anniversary. He invited Adeline to come with him to the family home. When they arrived, the family welcomed her warmly until Ellis's father walked in. The moment he introduced her as Jenny, his dad blurted out Adeline. There was an intense stare between them. Trying to defuse the situation, Adeline claimed that Adeline was her mother's name, but William Jones, Ellis's father, was visibly shaken. He couldn't wrap his head around it. His memories were still crystal clear. He'd first met Adeline in London when her car wouldn't start. As an engineer, he got it running and they hit it off. The next morning, over breakfast, Ellis shared how he first met Adeline. Seeing how excited Ellis was, his mom asked William how he met his Adeline. His story was similar. Adeline was brilliant and multilingual, she spoke 4 languages, and most importantly, she was wise. Everything she said was full of life experience. But William's story hurt his wife's feelings. She admitted she was jealous. Thankfully, William handled the situation well. That night, during a family game night, some kind of trivia challenge, William had always been unbeatable. But not this time. Adeline was in a whole different league. The next evening, Adeline left while Ellis was working. She walked to the garden where she found William stargazing. They talked casually about the stars until Adeline asked why he had named his star project after his mother. William revealed the project was actually inspired by his Adeline, a love story that almost happened. He'd even planned to propose to her back then. He had the ring, but Adeline vanished before he got the chance. Back in the room, Ellis confessed his love for Adeline, but this time she seemed distant. All she said was she wasn't ready. The next day, things seemed normal again, but when William saw Adeline's scar on her left hand, he froze. That scar stirred a long-buried memory. He rushed to the storage room to find something. Flashes of the past hit him hard. He remembered treating Adeline's injury in the woods long ago. A photo confirmed his suspicions. He immediately drove off to confront her. Firmly, he asked Adeline to tell the truth. That scar was no lie. He was the one who stitched it himself. Adeline, who had been pretending to know nothing, broke down in tears. She admitted she was scared. Scared to be studied. Scared to be seen as unnatural. Scared of what might happen. William understood. He begged her to stop running, for Ellis and for herself. But Adeline chose to run again. William tried to stop her, but failed. When Ellis arrived, all he found was a note saying their relationship couldn't continue. Devastated, Ellis went to his father for answers, but just like Adeline, William had no explanations. He simply told Ellis, "Go after her." Sadly, on her way out, Adeline got into a terrible accident. A truck slammed into her car, flinging her off the road. Snow was falling heavily that night. She slipped into hypothermia. Her blood flow slowed drastically. She was dying and didn't even realize it. Hours later, Ellis found her, but her heart had stopped.
At 8 p.m., Adeline Bowman was declared dead at age 107. But at 10 p.m., a medical team arrived and shocked her heart with a 750-volt defibrillator. A miracle happened. The shock restarted her heart. She woke up in the hospital, exhausted but alive. Ellis thought maybe Adeline ran away because of something he had said, but she assured him it wasn't that. Now, she was ready to fully open up. She told him everything. Right then, Fleming showed up. Hilariously, she pretended to be Adeline's grandma in front of Ellis. But when she realized Ellis already knew the truth, the moment turned emotional. 1 year later, Adeline lived with Fleming and a cute dog. Just before heading out to a party with Ellis, she went back to her room to grab her purse. But as she passed a glass wall, something caught her eye. One of her hairs had turned white, which meant Adeline was human again. You can imagine how happy she must have felt that night. And just like that, the comet William had once studied finally appeared in the sky, 50 years later than expected, but right on time for Adeline. And that's the end of the film. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss our next video.